Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video I'll be sharing with you all the books that I ended up reading in the month of November. So November was a very much like a slumpy reading month. I feel like I had a lot of ambitions. Like October was my best reading year. I read so many books and then I just went to like a screeching halt in November. I think it was a combination of just not reading really exciting books in addition to the kind of the time change really messed me up. I think my vitamin D levels were a little messed up, and then also I got sick over Thanksgiving, so I still have a bit of a sinus infection, but I'm doing better. But I actually napped quite a bit, so that's how you know I wasn't feeling 100%. Luckily it wasn't COVID or anything that's kind of been, going around lately, but still, nevertheless, it was not a fun time, even though it was just pretty much a really bad sinus infection. You can probably still hear it in my voice. But yeah, so like I said, I read 2 books and I'm currently almost halfway through another book that's like 500 pages. So that one I think I'll read or finish kind of the first few days of December. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So starting out, I first read the Tales and Teacups book club picks for the months of November and December, which was Bluebird by Sharon Cameron. This one I was really excited about. I know it definitely is kind of a YA historical fiction, which I don't tend to read, but I do love Codename Verity, which is a YA historical fiction. So I was like, you know what, this one could be good. And overall, I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't spectacular. It was just, okay, it was like decent. So it follows a girl named Eva who has left her war-torn Berlin and is now a kind of refugee in America post World War II, but she is kind of tasked by the CIA to find this German scientist or doctor who was one who was like testing on a lot of prisoners during the war, and he escaped, and the US wants to utilize what his research was focusing on. And so she's kind of tasked with finding this man, but she wants to kill him and you don't really know why. So we kind of flash back to Eva. So we kind of follow Eva in the present day narrative. And I'm trying to remember who, oh yeah, it's like INGE. I've just been pronouncing it as Inez in my mind because I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce this. And we follow Inez, who kind of grew up in Nazi, like as a Nazi, like that's all she knows in terms of like Nazism. She kind of grew up during the kind of height of the regime in the 30s and then ultimately in the 40s. And then when the war is over, she's kind of faced with the harsh reality of what her father did and the kind of implications of what was hidden from the German people during this time. And there were aspects of this that I really enjoyed. I think it was really interesting, kind of showcasing someone who's kind of grown up in Nazism and kind of how they reacted to kind of knowing the truth of what was going on, and basically everything that they've been led to believe and like kind of grown up with is a lie, and kind of seeing how that was integrated in the story. We kind of follow 2 paths where one of them is completely terrified and like disgusted by what her people did, and then the other one is still kind of living like kind of with that like rules and hierarchy and like the belief system of the Nazis in terms of like the kind of the one true perfect race. So I really liked that aspect, and I did enjoy kind of the like kind of post-war, like that, like after the dust settled, like what life in Germany was like. I did really like those chapters, and I did really enjoy kind of Eva's story too, with kind of trying to get revenge on this doctor, and we don't really know why. My kind of cons with this one is that I do feel like it went on a little too long. It had some pacing issues that I think if the book was maybe 100 pages less, I think it would have been more enjoyable. And the big like plot twists at the end were just, or like kind of throughout the book, there's like 2 main big ones. I didn't like, they were so obvious that like I wasn't surprised or anything. Like it kind of took away because I had literally guessed it within the first, few chapters. I was like, this is very obvious where this is going, which is, I think, like because this is kind of geared towards a younger reading audience, but I still think this author does a really good job at kind of showcasing the harsh reality of the war and the brutalness and violence. Like, she doesn't sugarcoat that, and I think it's very important for a young audience to kind of read that. So I did enjoy it. There are aspects that I liked and some that I didn't. So yeah, overall I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. And lastly, I would say this is the book that is definitely responsible for my reading slump because I like hated it so much, and it is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I'm very disappointed because this is a beautiful cover, and it is one that I will be giving to half price books because I just did not like it. And the premise of it sounds like it could be super interesting, and I'm like, I don't know how you could mess up this like premise. So we follow kind of a dual storyline as well. Present day, this woman is in London and she's kind of, you know, doing like a touristy thing where you kind of search the Thames for missing artifacts or things that get stuck in the mud, and she finds this vial that belongs to this kind of forgotten apothecary from the 1800s, or what is it, the 1800s. I was like, wait a second. And so that kind of leaves her down this rabbit hole where she's trying to kind of figure out this, like, what is this apothecary? Like, something about it piques her interest. And so we get flashbacks to the woman who ran this apothecary. Essentially, it was to kind of support women. So for basically men who have wronged women, like, she would give them poisons. And so I felt like that premise was really interesting, but the execution of this was terrible. I hated this book so much, and it is so short, and it took me a while to read. Like, it was terrible. And I'll try to articulate why I hated it so much, but I don't even remember the names. Like, let's see, Caroline is the present day woman, and I found her to be really annoying. She kind of all the time is talking about how she's kind of baby obsessed, and then kind of towards the end she, you know, has like these unfulfilled like dreams of becoming a graduate student. And so she's like applies to grad school, and she's like, I got in, like it was just, that was very unrealistic. But I felt she was very annoying. Like, she just made like stupid decisions, and like what she was doing, I was just like, it was very annoying. I like can't articulate it. And I feel like even too with the past narrative, I felt like there wasn't a lot of time to really explore these characters and this world in terms of this kind of hidden apothecary that only women through like talking and like kind of secret, the secrets kind of behind that were kind of to hide it from like the public eye, I thought could have been a lot better. And the thing is too, with the 1800s, I didn't feel like there was any difference in terms of the setting from the present day and the early, like the mid 2010s to the 1800s. I felt like just the dialogue of the characters, they would use like modern day slang, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm brought back to London in the 1800s. Like, I didn't feel like I was like at like reading something that takes place during that time. And yeah, there was just like a lot of eye roll moments. And yeah, you can look at more thorough if you look at 1-star reviews on Goodreads. Like, people wrote like an entire essay on how terrible excuse me, how terrible this book is, and I 100% agree with them. It's not very good at all. I do not recommend, which is a shame because the premise, like, if executed well, could have been a really fun historical fiction read, and the cover is very beautiful too, but it just did not hit the mark. And I'll quickly show you too what book I'm currently reading now. I'm about like almost halfway through, and it is Jade City by Fonda, and I'm definitely really liking this. It took a while for me to, like, the first 50 pages or so, just to kind of get familiar with these characters, and I'll talk more about this in my December wrap up, but this is one that I'm currently reading and I'm really enjoying, so I definitely want to kind of marathon this series kind of later on. But yeah, so far I'm really liking this, and you'll hear more about it in my December wrap up. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what books you read this month and what you thought about them. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.